However, despite all the times Moses spoke with God, and all the times he was led directly by him in the Holy Bible, the figure Moses is only mentioned a handful of times in the Urantia Book. By contrast, the Urantia Book, a 20th century spiritual text that presents itself as a revelatory synthesis of religion, science, and philosophy, mentions Moses far less frequently, with his name being mentioned 126 times, versus in the Holy Bible at a whopping 803 times, not accounting for possessive forms, pronouns, and other designations referring to Moses. This fact is even more astounding if we compensate between the relative sizes of both texts, with the Urantia Book having roughly 50% more words, and we create a fictional comparison of the inflated 1,204.5 word Bible that was comparative in size based on current trending frequency patterns. Consequently, if we inflate the Holy Bible to be roughly the same size as the Urantia Book, that trend points towards an almost 10-to-1 frequency ratio if the texts were on an equal footing. In the Urantia Book, Moses appears primarily in paper 96, Yahweh, God of the Hebrews, where he is described as the matchless Moses and praised as the most important individual world teacher and leader between the times of Makaventa and Jesus, located in 96 5.1. Yet despite this high appraisal of the Urantia Book, Moses is still only mentioned a handful of times in such a condensed state. The text explains there is so little on record of Moses' work because the Hebrews had no written language at the time of Exodus. What was subsequently recorded was gathered together long after his death, found in 96 5.2. This rationale is striking. It acknowledges Moses' greatness, but justifies the brevity of his handling in the text by appealing to historiographical limitations. The discrepancy between the two portrayals of Moses raises profound questions. Why does the Bible devote such extensive narrative detail to Moses, while the Urantia Book condenses his story into a handful of theological observations? What does the difference reveal about the purposes of each text, and how should readers interpret the contrasting emphasis? Assuming for a moment that the Urantia Book most certainly is real, then such general omission was of course due to no accident. And then the question we should be asking ourselves is why that was written in such a careful way.